All right, everybody. Hey, how's it going? It's Bridgette Lynn Dolgoff. Sorry, I was in a hurry. I was on a call, so I had to get my act together. And good news is I got my post done. So this morning. So today is, that is not the right day. Today is May 21st. Today is 20 Minutes with Bridgette. And today we're going to talk about, and I'm just going to hit on a couple of key points of some information, right? So, but first thing that we should do, okay, so let's just go ahead and lean over, taking a deep breath through the nose and out the nose, in again and out. One more. The other side, breathe in and out. Breathe in and out. And one more. And out. And I'm just going to do a little tapping here, because this is kind of a tough subject. So we're just going to tap here right below the K27s, right? Kind of more on the thymus area, kind of the heart thymus area. Just going to tap till it gets a little sore. Breathe in and out. I'm going to tap the hand palm. Breathe in and breathe out. And the top part here. Keep breathing in and out. Other side. On the top there. Go ahead and circle your shoulders back. Put your hands together, taking a deep breath through your nose. Out your nose. In through your nose. Out your nose. Okay, I think I'm ready now. Just kind of how to release some of that emotional stuff in the heart and get the thymus kind of activated a little bit. Because what I'm going to say is going to be kind of a little bit, maybe possibly extreme for a lot of people. Let me go ahead and get my, let me get the blog up. Oop, there it is. All right. So the blog I have for you today. So this is going to be kind of a short talk about my beliefs about what is going on. And it has a lot to do with the environment, the food supply, vaccines. I know vaccines get targeted a lot for child autism. They should. And I'm going to tell you about how I have put together information that that I have an understanding about. So we have heavy metals, they spray lines, whatever you want to call it, geoengineering. They get those chemicals and things, nanoparticles in our body. They use HARP and some of these frequency machine generators. And that actually gets the particles like more excited in our body, which can cause a lot of interesting stuff. We have a lot of contaminants in the water. We also have the vaccines, commercial food industries. I mean, now it's pretty hard to be organic with all the spraying and all the other stuff that has happened, and also accumulative and collective. How the commercial industrial food industry uses pesticides, herbicides, heavy chemicals. These things have viruses, they have heavy metals, they come from petrochemical, a lot of them. And then enhanced with, all kinds of other genetically modified stuff. I mean, GMOs, genetically modified organism, right? What they feed animals that we're eating, preservatives in things, even like vital gluten additives in regular bread, box food, MSG actually cause developmental, and kids are fed a lot of this stuff. Once they're born and they're growing up. I mean, MSG and derivatives of MSG cause permanent developmental disabilities in children. Okay, so we also have like Wi-Fi, microwave radiation, which is destroying the cells and the oxygen being able to be carried into the system, which damages the brain. The birth trauma is causing a lot of damage. So these are a lot of other things, like big topics, and to put together would take about a 4-hour class. But what we're going to talk about is we're just going to kind of add in the vaccine, autism, and other issues. And I did put some pretty, heavy rabbit holes. This is my little autistic person. These are a video that I did on the gray stains and white specks in the white of the eyes of all the children for the last 5 and 6 years that I've seen in my practice. This is some, really horrible aerosol spraying. These are from my YouTube channel. This is kind of a Wi-Fi public notice video. This is a thing that I did on growing your own food recently. One stage of a bigger picture. Here's some articles here by Rudolf Steiner and lectures. And then this with Haro Klotz, who is an unbelievable scientist dealing with things like black goo, and showing us like the actual beings that live inside. So, okay, that's that. So let's go ahead and so I'm just gonna leave this up just so that I can actually I'm gonna stop share because I think I can do it. Okay. So 12 years ago, I went to school for biodynamic farming, Rudolf Steiner College in Fair Oaks, Sacramento. I also took a whole bunch of courses during that year that went with the biodynamics. I took some nutritional work, also phenomenology, a whole bunch of other different kinds of hands-on related courses in study and spiritual study and science and lots of other things. And this last winter, this last fall and through the winter, I pulled enough cash together that I could actually take some online classes with teachers and educators to actually study some of the scientific work and agricultural work in depth, kind of like a deeper process, right? So I realized the conclusions that I came to was that vaccines, and I am an anti-vaxxer, big time, even for animals, right? I mean, you may, something like parvo or whatever, you may want to get your puppy, and, maybe, you know, just enough vaccines, but not, vaccines last the lifetime of your pet. It's insanity that they make people who live in cities vaccinate, especially rabies, every year. And remember, that's a virus, and it's going to shed off, right? 7 to 10 days, and people can get animal viruses. Hello, swine flu, right? Asian bird flu. It's all crossing species, right? We've got Lyme disease, crossing the bug human species, animal human species. So, a lot of pesticides and herbicides also have, viruses in them. And if these things kill and harm living organisms, you're made up of all living organisms. So one of the things that I really studied in depth was a lot about the mineral kingdoms, as Steiner talks about them. The mineral kingdom, in a nutshell, basically has a mirror or reflective consciousness. What that means is that whatever the environment is reflecting onto it, or the person, right? So this is why Emoto's work was very important, because he was reflecting ideas and feelings and sounds onto water, a mineral in the mineral kingdom, that reflected back that information into a visual form. So all mineral kingdoms have a mirror and reflective consciousness. Also, Steiner and some other people talk a lot about, and that Harl Klotz, he shows beings which are more kind of on the dark side, in his work, of what he found in the blood of people who are exposed to things like black goo and nanoparticles. So we have a man-made mineral kingdom that is like more of the dark forces. And then we have the mineral kingdom, more of the light sources. But you also have to realize, like, the beings that are trapped inside the mineral kingdoms, play a role. And the minerals are doing reflecting and mirroring consciousness. So it's, this is just basic. I can't go into like a 5-hour lecture right now, but so then we have, and I'll get to the point of why this is important in vaccines, right? It's one thing to eat something or breathe something else in, or however you're getting it in or absorbed through the skin. The body has a chance to fight it. The vaccine goes right into the bloodstream, and it goes across all the membranes and the barriers. So the body can't clean up what's in it, right? The liver doesn't get the chance, all these filters, the thyroid, and all these things that are in your body that are actually filters that filter out a lot of things, don't get the chance to do that when it's put right into the bloodstream. So it's a whole different ball game, okay? Okay, so Steiner talks about the lower animal kingdom. So we're part of the animal kingdom, but the lower animal kingdom, which are what we know as animals, has what's called a picture dreaming consciousness, right? So kind of like when we're dreaming at night, kind of like, sort of like that. So they're not aware of past, present, and future. They see everything kind of in a dreaming state. There's no thinking that's involved. Just whatever is going through the brain and the mind and the subconscious, that's kind of like where they're at. So for them, there is no life and death. It's kind of like it's the same thing. And so, okay, why is this important? Well, humans, beings in the evolution, Steiner talks about, which, really great book, Esoteric Science. It's pretty heavy duty reading, but I'll put it here. There are some free PDFs for this book. Also, there are some Steiner audios, people reading the book that you can listen to, but fantastic. I mean, no wonder Steiner was murdered, because he was super mind-blowing. And I'm not involved with Waldorf or, any of those other things. I try to stay away from them, because I do feel like modern, a lot of the people that are highly into Steiner and his work in the modern setting are white supremacist Nazis. But Steiner, I want to make it clear, Steiner was not that way. He wanted to help and save everybody. Everybody was important. Just happened that he was white. And he was, so if you actually go in and read his stuff, you find out that that he wasn't like the modern kind of Steiner, movements. And so I stay out of those. I study his work, and I don't listen to other people telling me what his work means or the behavior, or any of the involvement. So I like to just stay clean and study it myself, and have like my teachers help me, but also study it myself, right? To get a broader spectrum. And one of the teachers I had this winter online was so spectacular, and he really helped me with that. He really showed some points where, that there is this Nazism thing going on in the modern Steiner work, and that, this is not what Steiner wanted, right? So Steiner was murdered, he was poisoned, and to get rid of him, but he was incredibly brilliant. So why, at one point in time, humans evolved from the minerals, as the different, I don't know if I want to say evolution. Then, we had the animal consciousness at one point. Right now we're in what Steiner called the fifth post-Atlantean epoch, 1410 to 3572, which is the thinking, right? This is where freedom comes in, the individual, where we're not part of these other consciousnesses, which are more collective consciousnesses, and that we're evolving. And as we evolve in our consciousness and our ability to think, then we will help the animal consciousness to evolve, and we'll help the mineral kingdoms to evolve, right? So we're all together working on this. So why is this important when we're dealing with vaccines? For the longest time, like I know that diet works really well for kids that have autism or other, mental disabilities. But, there was just something that was really missing for me. And so for the last 10 years, really doing like a heavy study about all of it to try to help, my clients, I realized that it's the vaccines that are the most damaging. And this is because in the vaccines, I'm hoping you can hear me, you should be able to. In the vaccines, they go right into your bloodstream, right? And these foreign agents go all over your body, and your body doesn't get a chance to actually clean them up or eliminate them. Like I was saying, like if they were, brought into the system in other ways, the body has lots of filters. The thyroid is a filter. The liver is a filter. There are lots of filters in the body that would have removed, cleaned out, or minimized. But also too, you have to be nutrient rich as well. The thyroid is not going to work properly to clean these filters out if it's lacking iodine. So it cleans out a lot of mold and fungus and virus out of the system, out of the bloodstream. Every 17 minutes it filters and cleans. So, but if the thyroid's not working, then that's not going to happen either, right? So also has a lot to do with having a foundation of nutrient density. And this is the reason why I got into Steiner's work in the first place, was because of nutrition, and also my work in nutrition and And then also with biodynamics and creating nutrient-dense soil and homeopathic remedies for those soils to help clean up what doesn't belong and is not natural. So, and making the soil a medicine, which makes all the plants and medicine, and the animals eat that stuff, and it becomes medicine for them as well. And it's one big organism, medicinal enclosed, organism that is holistic and medicine. So the vaccines, you can go look for yourself. There's a full human DNA strand in them. There also are all kinds of animal parts. They've got rats and monkeys and chickens and, bovine animal parts in the vaccine, which should never go into a human bloodstream. This is the reason why we're having all this cross-species viral agents, right? Because now we have a host of organisms that are animal organisms living in our bloodstream and crossing like the brain barrier membrane. So now these organisms start living in us, and then all the diseases and the viruses that they were carrying are now inside of our system. And like I said, if they were ingested, breathed in, absorbed through the skin, like the filters of the body would have cleaned them. But most of us are also having, serious thyroid problems. So that's not even helping, to clean them out of the blood. So we have the lower animal consciousness present, and the beings that live in those parts of those animals, right? And their interaction. So then we have all kinds of crazy heavy metals, minerals. We have, and a lot of it is man-made. We have aluminum and aluminium and mercury, and all of these different types of minerals, and probably some water that have beings in them. And then also, what did we say? We said that the mineral kingdom was a mirror reflective consciousness, right? So those things are injected right into the system of the body, and they start to control the body. So what does it do? Well, it throws us into a lower consciousness, right? It puts us into a picture dreaming consciousness, all of those animal products, because it's going to override the brain. The animal products and their consciousness are going to override the system. So it's going to be a picture. This is why, like, people that have severe mental disabilities, many of them, you can teach them something and they'll do it over and 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 perfect at it, because this is a reflective consciousness, mirror reflective consciousness that is mirrored and reflected onto them, and the mineral kingdom can pick that up easily and display it and produce it and reproduce it, even savants. So what they're doing is they're mostly mineral kingdom consciousness. The environment is reflecting onto them, and they are reflecting and mirroring it back, like Emoto's work. And we have the lower consciousness of animals and those byproducts that are being part in the body. And then that brings about the dreaming and picture consciousness, right? Where, the kids look like they're somewhere else and they're seeing something else and they're doing something else, right? Because of the animal picture consciousness, right? And at one point in time, this is what we're coming out of as humans. So we just went through the feeling consciousness where we, started to actually feel and have individual feelings, right? My feelings are different than your feelings about this and that and what's going on. That ended in 1410. And now we're in the thinking, critical thinking consciousness, right? So that's an important place that, we need to actually be. And so the forces and I'm going to call them dark forces, Steiner called them the dark brotherhood, they are creating things and products in our environment, in our medicine, in all these different places that are actually being put into our bodies to lower the consciousness and the ability of the human being to actually critically think, because they would, you know, lose control. So I know this is kind of a complicated thing, probably needs so much more explanation than I have. But if you look at, I think the last video I did, I think it was on the thinking consciousness or critical thinking consciousness, where we're at. I can't remember, but go back. I think I did 20 minutes with Bridgette dealing with that. So anyway, thanks everybody. And like I said, I'm 20 minutes is probably not enough, but it'll give you a seed, something to think about. All right. Have a great day. We'll talk to you later. Bridgette Lynn Dalgoff.